Had some very charming anecdotes about how Carver could just sit for a half a day to observe people, and no one would know who he was, that he was famous. He didn't dress up fancy at all, and he was so quiet, and he had a very deep spirit. And another person I wanted to mention here was Ruth Avery, who was a witness to the Tulsa riot in 1921 when she was 7 years old. She sat up on Standpipe Hill. In fact, if it's all right, I'd like to read a little bit on that from here. Ruth Avery, as the 7-year-old Ruth Sigler, was witness to the worst. 6 years before George Carver walked on Standpipe Hill, Ruth sat on that same hill and watched North Tulsa burn. She saw a plane fly over, dropping bombs on fine Mount Zion Church, which faithful Baptists had raised, finishing just 6 weeks before. Nearby, white men dressed in their uniforms from what we know as World War I, then recent, had brought machine guns which they aimed below. Ruth Avery said, blacks knew about the whites by caring for their children, homes, and food. My nanny was a black and Cherokee, but whites knew almost nothing of the blacks. They knew young blacks had fought in World War I so they could handle guns. They were afraid. My uncle took me up on Standpipe Hill as he had heard that northward from Muskogee, some blacks were marching to defend their own. This, it turned out, was true, but they were stopped outside of town. Miss Avery's observation on fear in whites of what they did not know was Carver's theme when he would quote this verse, "If I knew you, and you knew me, and if both of us could clearly see, with an inner sight divine, the meaning of your heart and mine, I'm sure we would differ less and clasp our hands in friendliness if I knew you and you knew me."
Jewel mentioned something about the resilience of the black people, what they overcame in Tulsa. And let me just share with you in their own words what some of them said. He mentioned Joby Holman. His teachers have always played a great role in preserving and nurturing black children. Little two-room schools like my little Preston school and the teacher. Oh, by the way, you know, we would have been jailed if we had set foot in the big white school in Preston. Last year, I was the commencement speaker at Preston High School, and it was wonderful. I had the gym, the auditorium was filled, standing